What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the 240sx Drift Prep series. I feel like I already look a little bit rough. I've been out here all day working on the car a little bit more. I'm gonna kind of show you what I got done. Hold on one second. Alright, so if you guys remember from I think it was 2 videos ago, I was trying to replace the turbo coolant lines on my car because one of them had blown. So I just ordered new lines and was going through repairing them. I think I almost got done on the video, but I didn't quite get it finished in time because I was having difficulties with my exhaust manifold lining back up. And I fixed that today because that was the main problem that was holding me back from getting the car back together. So I'll show you what I got done here. Alright, so pretty much I was able to get the manifold back on, everything's tightened down, all my hoses, intercooler piping, intake. What I wound up having to do was, I was able to get all 7 of these nuts or studs in, and it was this very one back here down on the bottom that was giving me the most difficulty. And I wound up just going to Nissan and ordering a new stud and a new nut because AutoZone and nobody else has them. You can get them only from the manufacturer, but they were super cheap. They were a couple bucks for the nut and the stud. So I ordered those and I was able to get it back on because what I had to do was, instead of trying to get the manifold on and get the studs in, like the studs that came out with the nuts on them, that's what my back one was like. So instead of trying to get it angled right and get that in, I just got the studs separately and re-studded that rear manifold hole, so that way when I set the manifold it would hook onto that and I wouldn't have to try and fight the stud getting in after the manifold was already seated, if that makes sense. But that's what I'm having to do anyway. Got the intercooler piping, everything back on. The only thing I left off was this low radiator hose, because like I said, I actually got that it's an adapter that you cut your radiator hose in half essentially and put this little adapter in, and it lets you screw in a coolant temp sensor. So I'll be able to run an aftermarket coolant temperature gauge, which is going to help me immensely on the track, making sure that I don't overheat it too much, because the last thing anybody wants is a blown head gasket. That's what I'm going to do now. I wanted to get the manifold and stuff on because that was a last video kind of thing and I didn't want to bore you guys with that again. So I was able to get it all back on. That whole side is good. I was able to get all the lines tightened, all the coolant lines and the AN fittings, everything tight, everything's good. So now we're gonna dive into essentially just hooking up a water temperature gauge. So we're gonna get started with that. Alright guys, so this is what I'm working with. This is the ISR adapter that's essentially, it's just got a little threaded hole right here so you can fit the sensor in, and we're just going to cut into the radiator hose and kind of mount this in here. And this is the water temp gauge I got. I don't know if you can really see it, it's tinted, but it's the Glow Shift, this guy right here, Glow Shift water temp gauge. I'm gonna go ahead and start measuring out where to get this adapter in, cut the hose, get the adapter in, then we're gonna go put it back on the car, make sure everything fits and everything will work. So we're gonna get this adapter in the radiator hose, and then we're gonna go put the radiator hose back on the car just to make sure everything fits and everything works. And then we're gonna work on getting it all wired so we can get the temp sensor in the hose and then route that through the firewall and back into the dash, where we'll be able to mount the gauge with this. Super Clean Street Faction just started making these. This is gonna sit right in the middle AC vents, and I've seen these before, but these are just really, this feels like a really good quality, and I like how they're kind of slanted right here, so when you actually get the gauges in here, they're gonna be angled towards the driver, which I think is super cool. All these parts that I'm talking about, I'm gonna try and link them down in the description for you. I get everything from Enjuku Racing, but I mean each of these companies independently, like ISR Performance and Street Faction, great companies, they always make great things, and Enjuku always seems to have the best shipping times. So I'm not sponsored by any of them, this isn't a paid advertisement or anything. I just use a lot of their parts, and good quality parts. Alright, so I'm not 100% sure on what's going to be the best way to do this. I'm just kind of measuring it and marking it with a Sharpie on just exactly like how close these are going to be. And I'm going to try and just cut it with the drill, with a little cut wheel. I'm not sure what the best way is to do it, like I said, but we're going to see if this works. And if it does, then I highly recommend this way. And if not, I'm going to try something else. That's a pretty clean cut for somebody who has no idea what they're doing. So there's that. So this is just going to go in here like this. Sensor is going to go right there. And this hose is going to go back in the car. And just don't forget, you're going to want to put clamps on here just to make sure this doesn't blow out. Alright, so I just got the hose back on. I got the adapter piece in there. I think you can see it right there. And I actually already have the sensor plugged into it. I just have the wires hanging out the back here. So I just got to run out and grab a little bit of extra wiring, because the kit that came with the sensor, the wires are only like 1.5 feet. And I got to be able to route it all the way around the motor, through the firewall, and then back to the back of the dashboard. So I'm going to have to run out to Home Depot or something and just get some bulk wire. And we'll be getting ready to wire that up. But first of all, I know you guys can tell by the title of this video that I have a bit of a surprise for you, and I do. And I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys now, in case it does rain. At least you guys still get to see what I got. So not having this was one of the biggest flaws in my whole drift plan, because it was an essential thing that I needed, and I tried to use a rented one last time, and it was just terrible all around. I've been looking for so long, many months, trying to find the perfect one that was in my budget and that was just overall nice. I came across this on SwipSwap the other day, and I actually bought it. I'm pretty sure you guys probably know what it is by now just by the description, but Let's Go Drift finally has a trailer, which is going to be great. This is a all steel flatbed, 16 foot by I think 6.5 wide. I mean, it is super nice. The guy that had it before me took super good care of it. It's even got these little, I don't know if I can get to them, but these little drop down supports that you can pull them up and run these when you're driving the trailer, and when you're loading you can actually pull this pin right here, and these will drop down to the floor to prevent the back end from dipping in case you're loading your car without being hooked up, which is super cool actually. It's got all new tires all around, fresh painted wheels. I mean, it's even these fenders, everything's solid. It's got I think 8 or 10 of these big D-hooks, 4 of them on the actual flatbed. It came with this plastic little tough box. I don't have the keys on me right now, but it's got locks on both sides. And I mean, it can hold, it's not huge, but I mean, it could definitely hold a good amount of tools for when I'm on my way down to Orlando. I mean, floor jacks or sockets, wrenches. I mean, I could just throw everything in there and not have to worry about loading up my truck. I could just fit tires in the back of my truck while all my tools are in here. It's also got a spare, which is super nifty, and the guy actually had this mount custom welded and put on the trailer, which is super cool because it didn't originally come with a spare mount. All in all, it's a 2012 and it's just super clean. It was a super good price, and it was the cleanest trailer that I had seen out there. All of the other ones I've seen were like wooden decks where the wood was rotting and you were gonna have to replace all the wood, or there was just metal trailers that had the alley in the middle and everything was just all rusted. I mean, this one was freshly painted. It's just, I mean, it caught my eye, and I fell in love with it. So we have a trailer now, which is like a huge deal. Like, you guys don't understand. To me, this is like every drift event that would come by, I was always so worried about the car, and I never really thought about, you know, me having to find a way to get the car down there. Now I know I have a reliable way to get the car to Orlando every month. So all in all, super stoked with my purchase. And this honestly puts us in like fantastic shape, like to get to the next drift event. I really didn't want to hype up the July drift event like my last video. I really didn't want to hype that up too much. I was really trying to push to make for that event off camera, but I really didn't want to just get everybody super hype and then like what happened this past weekend, I didn't get the drive. But I mean, I guess it worked out. It was a night event, which is always a little bit scary for your first event, and it was pouring. So it kind of worked out that that wasn't my first event. It would have been still super fun, but a little bit scarier. But yeah, so coolant lines are on. I'm out of breath from talking so much about this trailer. We're good to go. That's everything. As long as we can make it another 3-4 weeks until I think August 12th is the next drift event. As long as we can make it to August 12th without any major mechanical issues, I mean, I'm gonna try not to get too hyped, because after getting as hype as I did for the first event, and then that really crushed everything inside of me. So I'm gonna try not to get too hyped, but I'm gonna tell you guys, we are most likely, definitely, probably, maybe going to be drifting in August. All right, guys, so I just got back from the store, got everything I'm gonna need, all the wiring, and I'm just now starting to rip apart the vents right here. I was reading online, I guess there's like a bunch of clips that hold this in, and they're really hard to get to, so I'm just gonna rip it apart, because I don't think I'm ever gonna need it again, and that's gonna be the quickest way to get it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I also pulled the radio out because since I'm gonna be mounting my gauges here, I feel like the easiest way would be to just splice into these radio wires right here. Yellow is your constant, red is your ignition, and then obviously black is the ground, and then the green wire is going to run up to the sensor. That's good. All right, just got everything inside wired up, and thank God, because it gets so hot sitting in a car in Florida. It is insane. I wound up, I don't know if you can see it down there, just drilling a hole right through the firewall underneath the floorboard so I can run this wire through. I already have this wire attached to the green wire that connects up to the connector for the gauge pod. So now I just got to take these wires that are running off right down here out of the sensor and wire the, I believe it's the white to this, and the black just to ground. And we should be good to go, and then I just have to get it all connected in there with that nice little Street Faction faceplate and get that glued in and get everything. We should be good. So I'm gonna get to work wiring this under the hood stuff up. Alright guys, so my phone died, so I'm back on the GoPro. Sorry if the video looks a little bit worse. I was watching the video from the last drift event when I was editing it, and for some reason the GoPro footage just doesn't really come out that clean as compared to like my phone with the setup I have. After a very long Sunday, I think we're finally good to go. I just gotta get some of these plastics and stuff back on, but other than that, there's the finished product. Obviously I don't have one here. I'm gonna try and get maybe a little button or some kind of, maybe like a let's go drift, something to put it there just to kind of block it for now. But the gauge is looking good. Let's see if she works. And there it goes. It looks like everything is good to go. We got the exhaust manifold back on, all the coolant lines replaced. I finally got my temp sensor hooked up. So yeah, we got that. That's good. I'm gonna, I think, hold off on putting coolant in it because it's getting kind of late, and I actually still have to go grocery shopping tonight. As much as I want to just fill it with coolant and make sure everything works and nothing's leaking, I'm gonna hold off. Probably do that during the week. But yeah, other than that, car's going great. Super stoked. Like, you guys don't even understand how stoked I am to have that trailer. It's oh god. And that's about all I have for you guys today. So thank you guys so much for watching and following me on this journey. Make sure you leave a like on the video just to let me know that you guys are digging what I'm doing. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. It helps me out and it helps you guys stay up to date on all the new videos I'm coming out with. So, alright guys, thank you, and I will see you in the next video.